Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another round of sound. This is the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. I'm your ringmaster, Bob Pompeani, and we have a lot to get into tonight, including Paul Skeens. Should he be the opening day pitcher next year for the Pirates? What about Austin Hedges? Didn't like the fact he was booed here. We'll get into booing athletes, but the #1 topic tonight on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown, the Steelers, after another outstanding performance in the preseason. Here to talk about that is your panel. We have Colin Dunlap, 93.7 The Fan. Far left in the middle is Mark Kaboly from The Athletic. Will Graves, the Associated Press, with the new sneakers. It looks good.
Let's go. First ever pair of Jordans, 49 years old.
There you
it's
go.
Never too late, kids.
Never too
late.
Let's get into this now. And all of a sudden, the Steelers, Colin, are making noise. People around the NFL are starting to realize they could be a team that didn't get enough hype. Do you think they're capable of winning the AFC North?
I don't know. If you're the ringmaster, I guess you're turning to circus animals for the answers here, Bob. I don't know if 2 games make that, if they change predictions. Let me see what happens in the regular season. But the definite trajectory is up. For a lot of people, they were doubters, particularly on the offense and what they were going to do. I think for everybody that's bludgeoned Matt Canada and everybody that said terrible things about Matt Canada, at least your trajectory seems to be pointing up that he's going to use his weapons if the preseason is an indicator for the regular season.
Well, I'm sort of torn here. I mean, it's 17 snaps. That's all we're talking about is 2 preseason games, one where the defense didn't play at all. So I want to say let's hold off a little bit, but they're looking so darn good, Graves. That I don't know. I'm almost turning into the fact that maybe they do have a chance of competing here for the division. I mean, a lot has to go right, and a lot has to happen from now until then. And they have to continue this trajectory. But, man, you could not script a better month for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I mean, let's be honest. One of their big things last year was, splash, lack of splash. Kenny Pickett's been in the game for 3 drives. They have 3 touchdowns, all 3 of them at least 25 yards or more. They had 1 touchdown longer than that last year, 1 offensive touchdown.
Remarkable.
That's, look, and to me, and I noticed this, I noted this on Twitter last night, it seems to be a shift in mentality a little bit offensively. Calvin Austin has the big punt return. What did they do? Did they line up and give it to Najee twice and throw on 3rd down? No. They lined up, they split it wide, he threw down the field for a touchdown on the first play. That is the step. It shows trust in Pickett, and it shows, you know what? I think Matt Canada knows he's coaching for his job. Yeah, and any subsequent job he might get after this, it looks like what they talked about, they're actually doing it. You can't help but be encouraged.
Yeah, so we're not going to run a triple reverse with Olszewski and Gentry.
You might still see that once in a while. But let me ask you about this. Now, the run game is interesting because one of those big plays was Jaylen Warren, 62 yards. He went through the hole, and then he turned on the speed. I don't think Najee Harris gets to the end zone. However, Mark, I'll start with you on this one. Does that mean Jaylen Warren should get more? Normally, Mike Tomlin is one of these, bell cow backs. But last year, 77 snaps at running back for Warren. Should he get more, and will that help Najee Harris?
I think there's 2 things here. It's should he and will he. Right. Should he? I think, yeah. I mean, not a ton more, but I think he's proven over the past 2 years that he deserves to be part of this offense a little bit more. Will he? Absolutely not. He won't get any more snaps because Mike Tomlin is a Najee Harris guy. He wants him to be the leader, and he's going to give him every opportunity plus more to be able to be that guy, to be their running back. And you know what? He was pretty doggone good last year in those last 8 games. So where do you have that balance?
Well, that's a problem in this town. That's the big problem in this town. It's okay to question the philosophies of a football team that have won 3 playoff games in 13 years. You say will he or should he. I stop with will he. It's not about should he. It's about, or I stop with should he, not will he. Because, Mike Tomlin can be questioned, and he should be questioned because he's not had postseason success. And this is a time more than any with the 2 backs that Mike Tomlin should split the carries. Jaylen Warren has earned them. I'm not on this train where Najee Harris should lose his job. Najee Harris isn't a #1 back. But more than ever, Mike Tomlin needs to wake up. Look at the teams that go deep in the playoffs. Look at the Eagles. Look what they did. Did they even have a #1 back, really? Look at how many teams split carries. It's time for Mike Tomlin to get on board with it.
But he's on with that first-round pick. They took him in the first round and made him a captain.
But let's remember, when they had success with, D'Angelo Williams and Lev split, sharing a little bit of the load, especially that one year where Lev was hurt.
And he sat down after 3 weeks.
I think, again, it's the first-round thing. Let's be honest. He has a lot of influence. He probably picked Najee Harris. I think it's safe to say he had probably the final say outside art. So, and to Mark's point, he hasn't been bad. I don't think Jalen Warren is a 30 carry a game guy, but could he go from 5 to 6 to 10 touches?
Plus, it helps Najee Harris, doesn't it?
Right.
Well, does it help him get paid? Does it help Najee get paid?
By
regardless
using
of
your-
that,
which is like the
that's issue
subtext
that-
of this whole thing.
Using your first-round logic, and I don't believe it's just yours. I believe a lot of people feel that way. That's exactly why we had to keep seeing Artie Burns get roasted and roasted and roasted and start after start after start. At some point, it's not your pedigree. It's just what you are. And Najee Harris should be playing if he's decidedly better than Jalen Warren. Not dependent on where he was drafted.
I know you're just making a comparison there, but I wouldn't compare Artie Burns
Well, I'm
to
not,
Najee
but,
Harris
but
right now.
all first-round picks shouldn't just play because they're first-round picks.
Well, you
the
see-
best players on the football field should play.
You see what Najee said yesterday, too. They have something in plan where they want to keep him healthy here throughout the first season. That tells you all you need to know. This is a guy that gets better with carries. I don't know if Jalen Warren gets better with carries or not. Najee gets better with carries. Maybe if you can find that happy medium of Najee getting those 20 carries, maybe some late, that's good.
Plus, there's an extra game, too.
Let's remember that Devin Bush did play himself out of a job, and Mike essentially benched him at the end of the year, and they had a lot
He had no
invested in him.
choice. It was pretty obvious.
Right. So, I mean, he will go away from guys, but to Mark's point, I mean, Najee, it's not like Najee's averaging 2.6 yards per carry.
All right, let me talk to you about the opening that was created by both Dan Moore and Isaac Seumalo. It was great to see that opening, and he took full advantage of it. He just read and then he got a nice block from Deontay Johnson. But Broderick Jones did not have a good night, Will. A lot of people, Mark, you've been on this train from the beginning saying Dan Moore likely be the starter there. A lot of people say, why? Well, the reason is it looks like Broderick Jones still technically isn't ready to be there. So do you have a problem with where he is? And do you have a problem with Dan Moore being the opening day left tackle?
No, and I want to say this, and I wrote about it this week, and if you watched, I was at practice on Tuesday, if you watched Broderick Jones and Dan Moore for the entire practice, I'm not talking just for when they were live, I'm talking individual drills afterwards, they were working together, watching Dan Moore bring home tutor a guy who's going to take his job someday is remarkable. It's a testament to sort of the chemistry they've built in that room. But from a performance standpoint, and look, I don't like saying Kaboly's probably right because I've been on the other side of this from the beginning. Dan Moore has certainly earned the right to probably be the week 1 starter.
Yeah, it's like a Mike Logan Palomalu thing. Like he's helping a guy out that's going to take his job. I loathe to do this. I hate doing this more than anything. You were right. And I was wrong. I said that Broderick Jones should walk in from day one, from the moment he was drafted, and be the big dog. This guy right here told everybody that would listen,
in the middle right here.
Slow down, relax, give Dan Moore a chance, and Broderick Jones will come along. Mark, you were right.
I also say this, is I'm not putting anything past Broderick Jones getting it here within the next month or two, so he's able to be in there. If it's left side, if it's right side, wherever. That's just a position that's very hard to jump in and start when you have a guy that has 40, starts like.
All right, we're gonna continue this conversation. Coming up, it's a trip to Atlanta, and it's a short week, but Mike Tomlin pretty much intimated that first teamers will play in this game. That's unusual for a third game, especially on a short week. We'll talk about that and more as we continue. It's the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown right here live on KDKA.